The recording's off.
Hi, everybody. I'm starting today. This is Neil. How's everybody? So those of you who don't know me, and I think most of you do, I'm the CEO of the company, and Robin is gracious enough to let me get started here so that I can tell you about something that's really exciting, okay? So as you know, we started a company about, we're coming into the end of our third month. You guys have done incredible. So well, in fact, that even though we weren't sure we were going to do it this year, on September 30th and October 1st, we're going to hold our launch summit. That means those of you who are there will be at the first ever national conference that we have. It will be here in Las Vegas at a place called the Tuscany Suites. We have actually put it already on the website and a couple of the other places. As Avini Distributors has it, you have it over in a circle. And those of you who are new to the company, find out, figure upline how to get on those two things, because a lot of information is passed that way. We do send out emails, but nobody seems to open emails. We get like a 17% of the people open the email. So we have to find other ways to get you information. The meeting on September 30th and October 1st will be free. We do not charge for people to come to a conference. In addition to that, there will be a get together on Friday evening, which we will have some stuff for you to eat. And then on Saturday, we will be from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock at night, chock full of all kinds of stuff, I want to tell you. So we will start the day off with a nice continental breakfast for you there. There'll be breaks, food at the breaks. We'll have a Italian buffet for lunch, the Tuscany, you know, got to have an Italian buffet at the Tuscany, right? On Friday, for those of you who are interested, anybody who's a Ruby Plus is invited to a luncheon, which will be off-site. And then at 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, your fabulous leaders of the company are going to do training for those of you who want to really learn how to do the business and get it from the inside out. I mean, it's really going to be an incredible deal. And in the evening, like I said, on Friday, we'll do the little get together, meet and greet. We also announced a contest that we put up. We've listed everywhere I could think of so far. That contest will enable you to win some money back towards your whatever it's going to cost you for the hotel and for the airfares or cars or whatever, however you're getting there, trains and boats and planes, as they say. So, yeah, I'm not going to go through all the details of the contest, but I can tell you that it's based upon doing the things that you need to do to create a good base for your business. The largest one, I will go into the largest one because that says you need to get 10 distributors. That sounds like a lot, except it's 10 weeks out, guys. One a week. Come on, let's go. You can do it. All right, or 5. And those of you who get the 5 or 10 will be invited to the Ruby Plus luncheon, so you get to spend some more time with leaders and learn a little bit more about what's going on, as well as myself and Rik and a few other people. So I just want you to know that we are giving it free, which puts us in a little bit of a bind. Okay, the bind is I need you people to all sign up because I need to know how much food to have and how many chairs to set up. Okay, so while it's free, you do have to have a registration form to come to it. Okay, so please register as soon as you can so that we can plan accordingly and give you the best time possible. And that's really about it as far as that's concerned. We'll continue to update you on it. It is interesting. We put it up last night, and already about 40 people have signed up in the first day. So that's pretty cool. We're looking to have somewhere between 300 and 500 people, and if it goes at this rate, we may sell out. So I would suggest you sign up. This is going to be history in the making, guys. Nobody's ever going to be able to say they were at the launch summit who aren't there, because this is the only one there will be. So with that, Robin, I'm going to introduce our next guest. So my partner in the business is Rik Deitsch. Rik and I have been partners in many different things in the past 25 years. We both enjoy the same things. We enjoy helping people. Okay, I mean that's really what it's about for our company. It's about you guys. It's about the products. It's about helping people with the products. It's helping you financially. And Rik, believe it or not, does have an altruistic streak that he's producing products that change lives because that's what gives him satisfaction in life. So he's going to talk about our new product, answer some questions, and let me introduce Rik Deitsch.
Neil, thanks for having me. Robin, thank you. I want to try out my new background. Can I use it, Neil? Do you mind?
Go for it.
See if this works.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
This is our pet cobra. We call him Corky the Cobra. And he's our friendly cobra to stop pain and inflammation. So I'm actually still in my lab. You can see I'm in my lab coat. We're doing a cell defender run today. We've been cooking Monday, Tuesday, and we'll do a fill tomorrow. We bottled silver last week. I actually hurt my thumb capping silver. But lots of exciting things happening. I think I told you before, we had to hire 6 more people for production in our facility. And Neil is actually coming in the next couple of months to look for a larger facility because we are busting at the seams right now. And we expect really astronomical growth over over the next 6 to 12 months. And you got to understand, our facility is a decent facility. Some of you actually saw it when you came up in May. But when you start adding products, you start growing, it's not just about additional products or additional manufacturing space. It's about caps and bottles and raw material and labels, and all this stuff takes up room. And as an example, just with the Plus Relief, to get our price right for the Plus Relief oral spray, I had to order 100,000 bottles and caps. That's 9 pallets worth of packaging material. So all that stuff takes up a lot of space. And so as we grow, we're going to need a bigger facility. So Neil is coming down. We're going to look to move into a much larger facility, probably end of this year, early next year. And it's all because of you guys, because altogether, we're introducing these products to people that really need them, and that's facilitating real growth. So that's fantastic. As you know, right now, we have our Cell Defender and Immunity and nanostructure silver and the Plus Relief products, but we're looking to expand. And the next product that we actually announced at our meetings in Utah a few weeks ago is fiber, our Plus Fiber. And for those of you that have known me for a long time, you know that I'm a fiber guy. I truly, truly, truly believe that we don't get enough fiber in our diet. That I can tell you the average American diet has about 12 grams of fiber a day in it. And that's generous. To get from the 12 grams we're eating to the 25 to 30 grams we should be eating, you'd have to add about 7 heads of lettuce daily to your diet. Or I say it's 14 apples with the skin on, or 22 bananas with the skin off. I'm telling people to eat banana skin. So we need a lot of fiber. And when you think about a fiber product, a lot of people think about just going to the bathroom. They think about things for digestive motility. They think about things like psyllium husk or Metamucil or Benefiber. And the problem is those are single source fibers that really just do one thing: promote digestive motility. But we get fiber from all sorts of things. We get it from vegetables, from fruits, from nuts and beans, from legumes, from grains, from different types of grains. And different fiber does different things. And so if you're going to have a fiber supplement, it really needs to be a broad spectrum, a blend of different fibers that make up for what we lack in our diet. And that's what we're doing with the Avini Plus Fiber. We're going to have a nice blend of different fibers. The recommendation is going to be to take the fiber before meals, about 10 to 15 minutes before the meal. And the life cycle of that, what's going to do is, the first thing it's going to do is it forms a gel fiber matrix in the gut, which gives you a nice full feeling. So you tend to eat less. You can better control your diet because you're getting that fiber before the meal. Then when you eat your meal, the food is going to mix in with that fiber. And when it moves into the digestive tract, your food is going to be absorbed more slowly over a longer period of time. And so that means it's going to do a couple things. First, you're going to get better value from the food you're eating. You're going to get better absorption because of that stretched out period by which you're absorbing your food. The next thing it's going to do is lower postprandial hyperglycemia. And I know that's a lot of technical jargon, but what it means is that you're not going to get a sugar spike right after a meal. So how many people eat and they get the sugar spike and they have energy and then they're exhausted? Especially, I tell people if they have an office job and you eat lunch and right around 3 or 4 o'clock, you want to take a nap. You know, you're hoping it's someone's birthday, there'll be a cake in the break room, or you're looking in your drawer to see if there's a candy bar in the drawer, because now you're exhausted. That's that what they call their postprandial hypoglycemia. Your sugar goes up and then it comes straight back down. When you have the fiber before the meal, your food gets absorbed more slowly over a longer period of time, and you never have that spike and drop. You just have a nice little up and energy throughout the day, and you never need that that extra sugar. You never need that extra boost. And you'll have a ton more energy. You don't get sleepy because your food's being absorbed more slowly over a longer period of time. That also is greatly helps diabetics, and it greatly helps promote better blood sugar levels throughout the day. And we actually have studies done on this fiber blend that shows a lowering of postprandial hyperglycemia and a reduction in HbA1c, which is hemoglobin A1c, which is the average measure of your blood sugar levels over a 3-month period. So we're going to see great results for people that are trying to control their blood sugar levels. So, and of course, it also actually promotes healthy digestive motility. So it's going to help you go to the bathroom and have more regular movements. And then, so we're talking about controlling your diet, controlling blood sugar levels. And then also because of this blend, 2 more things happen. One is cholesterol. We've actually measured where cholesterol, LDL goes down and HDL goes up. So bad cholesterol comes down and good cholesterol goes up. And then lastly, what triglycerides as well. What am I missing? What else does it balance?
Gut health.
Well, gut health, we already talked about gut health. Oh, the most important thing, part of the formula is anytime someone mentions fiber, some people get scared because fiber makes them gassy. It doesn't matter if it's a bread muffin or if it's a bowl of cereal, they're going to be gassy because of fiber. Well, fiber itself is not really the culprit. The culprit is bad bacteria. If you have unhealthy bacteria in your gut, it eats the fiber as a fuel source and it produces gas as a side product. So we added fructooligosaccharides, actually inulin, which is a prebiotic, and it actually feeds healthy bacteria, which helps defeat the unhealthy bacteria. So it prevents the growth of those unhealthy bacteria that are gas forming or fermenting bacteria. And so this is a fiber you can add to your diet that should not cause gassiness or bloating and will actually prevent the gassiness and bloating. So it becomes a much healthier fiber, much easier fiber to take. And so the next question is, when are we getting it? And at this point in time, I can't tell you when. We're working diligently. One thing that put us back is this global issue with supply chain. I've never had so much problems getting raw materials, but from the very beginning of COVID, a lot of people stopped growing like plants, fruits, vegetables, things like that. There were sources of some of these raw materials, and it's taking a while for that growth curve to come back. We can get a steady supply of raw materials. I will tell you this, I have a lot of friends back, going all the way back to my Rexall days in the late 90s. I have a great network of raw material suppliers, and I called in a lot of favors for Avini to make sure that we could get the raw materials we need for our products. And so as much as it's been painful for me and hard for me to get some stuff, I am literally at the top of the list for all these people to get stuff. And it's not because Avini is a $1 billion company, it's because I fomented these relationships going back over 20 years. And I have a lot of friends at all these raw material suppliers. They're able now to get us what we need to be able to move forward. So my hope is to have something as quickly as possible. We are sending out samples end of this week for people to try, for some of our people to try. And the second we have it available, I'm sure Neil is going to make sure that you guys know. Am I right? Is Neil still with us? Yes. So great product. And, I don't know if you wanted to talk about additional product launches. That's a no. Okay.
One at a time.
One at a time. Okay. So that's the exciting thing that's coming up is the fiber. And I tell you, I did several clinical studies with this particular blend of fibers that showed a reduction in postprandial hypoglycemia. It showed a reduction in bad cholesterol. It actually showed a reduction in apolipoprotein B, which is key because that is measured directly in the blood. And that's the sticky component in bad cholesterol that makes it so dangerous. So we can actually show that we're reducing apolipoprotein B in people using the fiber. And of course, the recommendation is twice a day before your two biggest meals of the day. I usually recommend either breakfast and dinner or lunch and dinner. So it's a serving is going to be 60 servings per canister. So that's going to be a month's supply. Okay. So that's my speech for today. I don't know if you want me to go into any of the other products or anything else we're working on, or if you just like to jump into questions.
I think we should jump into questions, Robin.
Yeah, I'm good for that. And I've got to say, my internet's not working good. So Chip, you be on call here to do for me. Watch those, and Neil, watch those chats for me if I can't help you guys ask questions. But I wanted to say that I have been on Rik's fiber before, and it was one of my very favorite products. As Marcy says, I was probably one of his best customers. I loved the fiber. I can't wait to get my hands back on the fiber, and I know it's going to be even more powerful. And so I'm excited because it's going to replace some products that we've been taking in the past that we were all introduced to along our journey here. So that would be a question, Rik, is some of us have been taking some help with, some products with leaky gut and all that. Can this replace everything that we've been taking that you know of this past product?
Yeah, I assume so. I mean, there were some products and some of the last iterations that we went through that had some ingredients that were, I don't want to say they're questionable, but they have ingredients that don't make a lot of sense. And it's almost like when someone says that, like it's nanoscience, or anytime someone uses the word nano, it upsets me because it's a marketing term. It's all nano is 1/1000th of a micro. So I can say I'm nano-sized. I'm 22 trillion nanometers tall. So some of those products had ingredients that had very generic titles or very generic statements of what the ingredients were, what they did. I did tell you exactly that the fibers that are part of this are food-based fibers. They're going to do all the things. It's a mix of soluble and insoluble fibers. They're going to have all those benefits that a high fiber diet would provide. I'll tell you this too. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but back, I think it was either 99 or 2000, I was invited to Baltimore. The World Health, no, it wasn't World Health, it was the NIH, National Institutes of Health, had a meeting. It was called 10,000 Steps to a Healthier US. And there were 1,000 invited guests, and I was one of the invited guests. And it was basically, they were trying to get Americans to walk more. They wanted them to walk 10,000 steps a day, which has been proven to improve cardiovascular health, to lower cardiovascular risk, to lower stroke risk. So it was a big deal, and they were giving out pedometers to everybody. We're trying to get people to be more physically active. And I wound up at this table, and my table had the head of the FDA, the head of the NIH, the Surgeon General of the United States, who actually introduced himself to me as a recovering surgeon, which I thought was hilarious. But it was this great table of all these amazing people that were high up in the government agencies. And they, at one point, we actually started talking about fiber. And I said that people don't get enough fiber in their diet. And there was a physician at the table who said, I do. I get plenty of fiber in my diet. I'm like, well, really? How do you do that? And he proceeded to pull a cooler up from under the table and put it on the table. And he opened the cooler, and he had all these like high fiber, like meals and things like that, and fiber bars. And I laughed. And they said, everyone's like, why are you laughing? He said, because we can't expect everyone in the country to carry around a cooler full of fiber. This absolutely proves my point. We are a fast food society. We need fast food fiber. We need fiber that everybody can add to their diet or add to their regimen in a very simple way, where they can take a scoop a couple of times a day. and get enough fiber in their diet on top of their normal diet. So that I thought it was hilarious that that physician really proved my point, even though he was trying not to prove my point, you know? But
So you've got
yeah,
a bunch, you got a bunch of questions now, Rik.
okay, well, I know someone just asked about the flavor. We're starting with an orange flavor, which is what I had tested previously for my fiber products. I know some people really wanted chocolate. I guess the last company they were with had a chocolate flavor. I don't know if that's my favorite to start with, because as much as chocolate can be healthy, orange is going to be a much easier product, a much easier flavor to start with. Well, first of all, Tara loves Porky, so thanks, Tara. Let's see, what sweetener is being used? Okay, so we're testing a couple different sweeteners. I'm not a big fan of stevia because stevia does have bitter components. We're now testing different. First of all, we're testing coconut sugar. We're testing monk fruit. So we're actually now, that's one of the final parts of this formulation, is to test the right natural sweetener that we can use that will be equivalent to a sugar that is going to be low in calories. Okay, so we're not ready to say exactly how we're finishing with the flavoring of the product. We will be able to report that by next week. Okay, is it better to take breakfast and supper or lunch and supper? That's a good question. It really should be taken with the largest meals of the day. So it depends what your larger meals are. We are a very interesting society. The American diet is really the only diet in the world that eats our largest meal at night. Most countries, most societies, most cultures eat a bigger meal during the day. But for some reason, we've evolved in the society where we eat a giant meal, usually with a lot of carbs, like a big pasta dinner, and then we go to bed. And that's a problem, because if you're not utilizing the energy from those carbs, it's going to turn into fat. So I always tell people, I don't believe in a low carb or no carb diet, but you should eat most of your carbs during the day and less at night when you're going to be sedentary. But the best time to take the fiber is 15 minutes before your two biggest meals of the day. What's the flavor? I just talked about that. Does the fiber have zeolite in it? Yes, it does. The fiber has zeolite in it. That's one of our things, is most of our products are going to contain some zeolite. The zeolite is going to be much like the zeolite that's in the Zimmunity. It's primarily for gut health, to promote the fiber, the use of the fiber. It's not going to be super micronized like the zeolite, the nano-sized zeolite. I said nano-sized. That's in the Cell Defender. We said probiotics. I'm not going to put the best probiotics are always going to be live cultures, and live cultures need to be stabilized. They need to be refrigerated. So we're not going to put any live cultures in the fiber. If you want to use live cultures, I'm a big fan of kefir and things like that. But the best thing we can do here is a prebiotic, which is the inulin, the fructooligosacchαρide, that's actually going to promote the growth of healthy bacteria and defeat unhealthy bacteria in the gut. Someone said pure cane, 0 calorie. Well, I guess see what pure cane is. Pure cane sugar is certainly not 0 calorie. It's certainly healthier than processed sugar. So someone said about using stevia. I don't dislike stevia. Stevia is actually a pretty good product. My biggest issue is, as a formulator, I like to be consistent, and stevia has bitter components. So you're going to get one scoop that tastes great, and the next scoop is going to taste a little bitter, and that offends me. I want every scoop to taste the same. And that's just me as a formulator and a biochemist. The other thing too is, for a very weird reason, stevia is illegal in Hong Kong. And I don't know if you guys know this story, but in the Hong Kong Medical Journal, I think it was 2003 or 2004, they published an article that said cancer risk associated with stevia and naturally occurring stevia sides. That was the name of the article. The article absolutely proved there was no cancer risk associated with naturally occurring stevia and stevia sides. And yet, because of the title, the politician in Hong Kong outlawed stevia. It's like no one read the article. They just saw the title and said, oh my God, it causes cancer. And so they've never actually overturned that. So stevia to this day is illegal in Hong Kong because of that article, which proves that it doesn't cause cancer. So that just tells you about politics. I don't know how to compare with balance of nature. I would actually need to see that particular product.
Rik,
yeah.
Balance of Nature is the fruits and vegetable products we had 25 years ago that we made.
Like Daily Produce 24?
Yeah, that's exactly
so-
what it is.
So the problem with those products, those gamishes of fruits and vegetables, is they have no fiber in them. When you look at those like Juice Plus, or like we had Daily Produce 24, is to be able to put them in those capsules. They take an extract which contains antioxidants and pro-oxidants and things like that, and a lot of the natural compounds that are in those fruits and vegetables, but they have to eliminate the fiber. There's not enough room for the fiber in those capsules. And so this will have some of the great antioxidants, things that are naturally found in the fiber blends we're using, which include carrot fiber and oat fiber and apple fiber. But it's not going to, it's going to have the fiber, which is the most important part for us for this particular product. And those extracts never contain fiber. They have very little fiber in them because you're putting them in a couple of capsules. You're not going to have enough fiber in those capsules. Let's see.
Rick, while you're looking, I'm just going to tell everybody, hey, this does not have to be just questions on fiber for Rick. You guys have Rick for a certain amount of time here. So I think we're kind of, this is great, and we're exhausting questions on fiber. But listen, guys, whatever you want to ask Rick, this is your chance. So get those questions coming. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah. Well, somebody asked about some other ingredients. I have to look up, for different ingredients that were in different fiber products. And I want to tell you this, there was one company had an ingredient that was nucleotides. And when I talk about generic ingredients, what is a nucleotide? Nucleotide is a generic term for a family of compounds that numbers in the thousands. Nucleotides are everything that makes up your DNA. Your nitrogenous bases are all nucleotides, which is basically an amino acid attached to something else, usually a sugar. It could be amino acid attached to an amino group. There's all sorts of things. It's basically a nitrogenous base, which could be thousands and thousands and thousands of compounds. So to call something nucleotides really doesn't make a lot of sense. When I asked which nucleotides, he said, what are you talking about? It's a nucleotide. Well, every nucleotide does something else. It's like saying it has amino acids in it. Well, there's thousands of amino acids. There's 27 amino acids that make up the proteins in our body. Which amino acid? Because each one does something different. Each one has a different structure, and it has a different mechanism of action in our body, does different things. Like I could take proline. Proline's great for cardiovascular health, actually reduces risk of atherosclerosis. And then you have something like taurine, which actually regulates heart rate and rhythm. So each amino acid does something else. So when you say something like nucleotides, what does that mean? That's why I get annoyed when people use generic terms for ingredients. I like to know what is the ingredient, why is it in there, and is it in there in an efficacious dose that's actually going to have some benefit. What's the price point? That's a Neil question.
TBD.
Is encouraging more than normal water amounts while on fire? Well, listen, if you're drinking healthy amounts of water, which is 8 to 10 glasses a day, that's going to be fine. Okay. The problem is most Americans walk around dehydrated, whether you know it or not. And so it is important to drink 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. That's incredibly healthy. And so if you're drinking those 8 to 10 glasses of water a day, that's plenty to benefit the use of the fiber. We're already recommending that for the use of the Cell Defender of the Zeolite product. So someone else asked for a meal replacement. I actually have a really good meal replacement, but that's something for the future if we want it. Neil has seen my list. I've got file cabinets full of products that we've made, formulated, tested, had in clinical studies that we could launch at any time if it's something that fits in with the Avini structure. I will say this, and I said this in the meeting we just did in South Jordan, Utah. I like the fact that we're not going to just have a multivitamin. We're not just going to have a multi-mineral. We don't want to be that company. There's plenty of decent over-the-counter products. You can really go to Walmart and get a decent multivitamin or multi-mineral. The stuff we're going to have in Avini is going to be stuff you're not going to be able to find anywhere else. It's going to be formulations and blends, and especially the fact if it contains my micronized activated zeolite, you're not going to be able to find anywhere else in the world. You're only going to be able to find it at Avini. And that becomes a mantra. If you have a product that everybody needs, when they find out about it, everybody wants it, and the only place you can get it is Avini Health, then that's your story. This is the place to go.
So as far as the meal replacement page, I'm not going to say we're not going to have it, but I am going to say we're not going to have it this year.
Okay.
because we are already booked up.
Yeah. And I'm also going to say for product development, when I was at Rexall, we had over 200 products. It was getting ridiculous. We were like everything to everyone. And when we went through a merger, that was one of the most painful times because we drew a line in the sand and said, any product that we sell less than 200 units a month, we're discontinuing. And that sounds like a sound business decision, but right away you just pissed off 200 people that were ordering your product every month, or even if it was less, it was 100 people. You just pissed off 100 people that were using that product every month. And so even when they said they were doing that, I said, well, we have to have something to replace it with because people are want that product. Could they take something else to replace that? So it becomes harder and harder and harder, especially when you're talking about really generic type of products. And there's nothing in our product offerings now that's generic.
One thing, Rik, before I'm going to have Chip come in too, I know he's got some questions for you. And then as we see questions come on the chat, guys, and if we have time, we'll just open up and see if you guys, if you can't put it in the chat, we'll let you ask questions. But one thing I wanted to talk about was on our Plus Relief. And by the way, that is such a fun product. We have so many amazing, these 4 products are so life-changing and life-saving, and so many wonderful testimonies. We talk about that we can give the Cell Defender, the Nano Silver, and the Zimmunity to, us as humans, but also our pets. Would you talk a little bit about the Plus Relief and the difference, why you have a different one for pets, and what that we want to be aware of on that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Actually what happened is, if you look at the pet product, there's a picture of a English Springer Spaniel on it. And that's an homage to Nina, who works in my office, but happens to be my wife's sister. Nina's my sister-in-law. So Nina had a 17-year-old English Springer Spaniel, which is like the Methuselah of Springer Spaniels. And Rusty was a loved member of the family. He limped around the house. He was just this old dog, just limping around the house. And we started using our over-the-counter pain reliever. Nina was spraying it on his food, and he got sprightly. He started running around the house like a puppy. So we know that was beneficial in dogs. There were 2 issues. One is it's kind of weird to spray it on their food or try to spray it in their mouth. And when we try to use it in cats, if you try to spray anything in the mouth of a cat, you're taking your life in your hands. You just don't want to do that. And so we said, what's the best way to dose a dog or a cat? So we said, it's got to be like a treat or something like that. And at the time, we were really strapped for cash. So the best way to launch it was as a gel in a tube. That actually was the least expensive way to launch the product. So we launched as a chicken flavored gel in the tube. And that was really for ease of dosing, where you can put it on your finger and give it to the dog or cat. The other thing is we sweeten the oral spray with xylitol. And while xylitol is fine in humans, it can be toxic, especially in dogs, and cause diabetes in dogs. But I got to tell you, it's really not at these doses. Even the whole bottle has very little xylitol in it. It was what happened in the 80s is they launched xylitol chewing gum as sugar-free chewing gum. And dogs would get into it and eat a whole freaking bag of xylitol chewing gum, sweet chewing gum, which had a ton of xylitol in it. And it was actually very dangerous for dogs. And so anything with xylitol had to have a warning that could be dangerous for dogs. And so because of that, we said, okay, we can't recommend the oral spray for dogs because of that, even though it's really not at a dangerous amount. And that's why we went with a separate product for dogs and cats. Certainly it's not dangerous. If we choose, if Avini wants to go into like a pet sort of product line, that's something we talk about. I did make available, we did years ago, a Zeolite pet brochure. And I put that on the Inner Circle chat a while ago. So people can print that up as a PDF. But it says why the Zeolite is so amazing in dogs and cats and the benefits we've seen in dogs and cats with the Zeolite. But that's something else if we're talking about our furry friends.
Awesome. Thanks for clarifying that. I really appreciate it. Chip, come on. I know you've got some questions for Rik this afternoon. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just enjoying listening and playing along with Rik all the time with his new background. I've been preparing for this, and at a truck stop, I picked up this little Cobra, and the guy assured me that the cobra would learn how to milk itself if I wrapped it around my neck. And so there's little things like that that come along. And just another one, you know, I was talking to a really bright guy a couple of weeks ago, and he said, well, why don't I just get, everybody's trying to do a Rik workaround, right? How could we get the same effects that Rik does without having Rik? And his conclusion was he could take a lot more of a cheaper zeolite for the same money. And there was bound to be some small clean zeolite in the regular zeolite. And it wound up, I finally, you know, several days later figured out the proper answer to that. And see if this fits. One of the benefits of zeolite, you can use it to reduce diarrhea. But if you take enough of it, you're going to wind up causing constipation.
Yes.
So these are where the Rik workarounds get you, and you gotta be a little bit careful with the Rik workarounds if you pick them up at truck stop.
Yeah, I actually talked to another company before we launched Avini. There were a lot of companies who were asking me for the zeolite product, and one company had a zeolite that was a very generic powder zeolite with a scoop, and they said, well, my big tub of zeolite is a fraction, is about the same cost as your little bottle, and has so much more zeolite in it. How can you convince me that your little 10 drops of a few milligrams zeolite is worth my big scoop of this zeolite? And the example I gave there, it wasn't really the best example, because we could talk about micronization activation, how much more active it is, the surface area, the cationic exchange capacity, how many more metals it's pulling up. I could be more technical, but I went right to the fact that willow bark is aspirin. The ancient Egyptians used to shave off willow bark and boil it and put it on their head for a headache, or on their arm if they had a sore arm. That was the way they dosed the willow bark as aspirin. And I could shave the bark off about 100 willow trees, and that's about the same as one aspirin tablet that now is extracted. It's acetylsalicylic acid. It's purified. It's buffered, so it's safe when I ingest it, or safer when I ingest it. And do you want the bark from 100 willow trees, or do you want one tablet of aspirin? That's basically the equivalence. Once you micronize and activate my zeolite, very little goes a very long way. And it goes deeper into the body. It's systemic. It's taking out toxins from all over. And almost every single other zeolite product that's come along, not micronized, not activated, is going to have a fraction of that benefit. And most of it's not even going to get in the body. It's just going to stay in the digestive tract, which is what we've seen. I'll also reiterate that I'm the category creator, and anybody out there now with a zeolite product is really just trying to copy what we've accomplished. And so in every way you look at it, everything out there is a knockoff of what Avini has right now.
I think maybe I have a really important question that it's not my usual one, because it's going to be a bottom line dollars and cents business question. That's not usually what you get from me, but there is a reason that fiber has gotten to the front of the line as far as introduction here. And your history with fiber being the leading product, the number one product in sales, would you, I mean, that's a pretty big deal too. Would you say something about that and what you expect to happen as that product is introduced to this group?
Yeah, I can only tell you, we had a product at Rexall called Bios Life 2, and we sold over 100,000 canisters a month. I mean, I'd have to see all the different iterations. I think between, we had canisters, we had individual packs, and we recommended people got both. They had the canister for the house and the individual packs that we carry around with them. And of course, we were in multiple countries. We had tens of thousands of active distributors, but that was by far our number one selling product because people benefited so much from it. And it is funny because, I guess the weight loss gave a little bit of tangible benefit when people could control their diets, and so that it does aid in weight loss. But the biggest thing we had was cholesterol reduction. And we did 4 clinical studies, one of which was published. We did a study with the Cleveland Clinic that showed a reduction in cholesterol, reduction in apolipoprotein B. And I always said it's very, very hard in the dietary supplement space to make the intangible tangible. And I know I've said that to you guys before. you say something lowers your cholesterol, you never stop someone on the street and says, wow, hey, Robin, your cholesterol looks great today. No one ever says that. And so we really have to do the clinical studies. You need to get your tests, from your doctor over time. And you'll see that over time, you're going to be healthier and healthier and healthier and healthier. But the cool thing about the fiber is you're going to feel it, especially in things like bloating. How many people eat a meal and you just feel like, oh, your stomach stick out and you feel bloated after that meal? With this fiber over time, you're going to get that flatter and flatter and flatter stomach. It's not just because you're losing weight, it's because you don't have all that gassiness and bloating that you're really used to now. And you've taken it up as that's a given. That's what happens after you eat. So as you get healthier and healthier and healthier, you're going to feel the difference. But yeah, I guess you can say that before I went to Rexall, I was a pharmaceutical biochemist doing cancer research at a comprehensive cancer center. And Rexall was my introduction to the world of food and nutrition. This is where I became a nutritional biochemist. And if you guys have seen my story before, when I first got there, I kind of made fun of the people working there. We called them herbal gerbils. I think I told you that before. Tree huggers, herbal gerbils. I met my first naturopathic doctor, and the old joke was an ND, a naturopathic doctor meant not a doctor. And I'm going to take that back because I now have met naturopathic doctors that are brilliant and do incredible work. So, but that was when I first got there. I didn't realize that how much science and research went into these herbal products, these natural products. And even now, over 80%, I think it's over 85% of all new drugs come from natural products. It started with natural product chemistry. Just like I said, willow bark was aspirin. I mean, Taxol came from the Pacific yew tree. The drug I worked on, Camptothecin, came from a tree called the Camptotheca acuminata, the zishu or Chinese happy tree. So a lot of drugs come from natural products, and it's this natural products chemistry that we can take as a whole drug. I'll give you that example really quick. So I was doing research in college on a bush in West Africa called the Cryptolepis sanguinolenta. And in Africa, they take the leaves, stems of this bush, and they make a capsule, and it treats and prevents malaria. And it's used as a
very important announcement to say, Rik.
Yeah.
I just became a granddad again.
Oh, congratulations.
Little grandson.
I thought you were going to say that Rik talks too much.
You do, but that's besides the point.
Congratulations, Neil.
I just got the picture. Yep.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, so I'm telling this it's not a pointless story. What I'm trying to get across is that, so you have this bush, and people make tea out of it, they make capsules out of it, and it prevents and treats malaria. Meanwhile, the whole world is looking for a decent malaria treatment. There's not a lot, Quinine helps with some prevention, but there's not a lot of good things for malaria. And malaria still kills over 1 million people a year. I think several million people a year. And so you have the whole pharmaceutical industry descending on West Africa, looking at this poor little bush, this Cryptolepis sanguinolenta, and they take out this one ingredient, cryptotachyine, which is a bisesquiterpenoid that they think actually treats malaria. And so they did a clinical study. And yeah, it treated malaria, it did pretty good, but it tons of side effects. It caused like bleeding ulcers and kidney problems, liver problems. And yet people eat the leaves of the tree and they make tea out of it and they treat malaria with no side effects. So clearly there's things in the plant that aid in the working of cryptotachyine that balances it, that prevents the side effects. Yet you can't patent a bush. You can't patent a whole extract from the bush. And so this is a natural product that's used in historically traditional medicine that will never make it, at least in its form, as a good drug for the treatment of malaria. So that's just an example I'm giving, which tells you that that if you understand herbs, if you understand natural product chemistry, there's a lot of great stuff that we can use that's always going to be better than the eventual drug that comes out. So I know that was a long route to get around to the point of my story, but I hope you appreciate it.
So I got one more question before you leave me. And by the way, I do worry sometimes with Neil doing so much, what are we going to do if we need to replace Neil? I'm glad that he's thinking ahead about 30 years. So congratulations and thank you for working on that replacement, Neil. This is my last question for Rik. You've talked about cardiac, stroke, and cholesterol, all those things, and the medical interventions. And you talk about studies. Well, there's a whole class of drugs that are shown to reduce numbers, of cholesterols and that kind of thing, but sadly, don't actually make the leap and have a positive effect on cardiac disease and stroke. So you just said that this product does complete that circle. Could you say something about that, and maybe the weakness in the other approach?
Yeah, and it boggles my mind because I think it was 2002, the New England Journal of Medicine published a study that said if you do nothing else but take a B vitamin complex, it reduces your risk of restenosis. So this is after you've had angioplasty, after you've had your arteries cleaned out in some way, shape, or form. If you simply just took a B vitamin complex, it reduced your risk of restenosis by 70%. 70%. So it's saying you've had angioplasty, you don't want to have angioplasty again, just take a simple B vitamin complex, and people still don't do it. I mean, it's like such a no-brainer, that there's such simple things we can do with diet and exercise or supplementation to reduce our need for surgery and medicine. Neil's holding something up, it's fading in the background. Oh, it's super B complex. So the fact is there's simple things we can do. And I told you this, I've probably told the story before. Back in like 2001, we had a product at Royal Numico that was a very expensive product, but it was actually tested for congestive heart failure, where it was taurine and CoQ10 and what else was in it? Those are our main ingredients, taurine and CoQ10. But we tested congestive heart failure, and we actually saw a reversal of congestive heart failure in the studies. Hawthornberry was in it as well. We saw reversal of congestive heart failure. And yet that year I went to the National Conference for Congestive Heart Failure. It happened to be in Fort Lauderdale, so it was a local conference. And while they had over 100 booths, it was all devices and drugs, and there wasn't a single thing on the study that had just been published on congestive heart failure using hawthorn and taurine and CoQ10, natural products you can go to the store and buy. And it boggled my mind that they weren't talking about this stuff. But there are things we can do with diet, with exercise, with natural products, and very simple things we can do to promote our general health. And that's exactly what I'm trying to put into the Avini products. And you look at the fiber. That's so simple to add. It's going to be so cost effective to add to your life. That's going to lower your risk for heart disease, lower your risk for stroke, lower your risk for digestive complications, and be hand in hand with the other products as immunomodulatory to lower your risk for autoimmune diseases, which are now running rampant in our country and in the world. Biologics being the #1 new drug category, which is how do you lower your immune system reactivity? That's the last thing you want to do is turn off your immune system. You want to modulate and regulate your immune system. And so I don't know if I've really answered your question, Chip, because this is a soapbox issue for me that, and I try to tell people, I believe the word supplementation. I believe in it. Absolutely. Supplementation means supplemental to a healthful diet and exercise. So all of us should be eating right. We should be exercising. We should be taking these products supplemental to a healthy diet and exercise to live a longer, happier, healthier life.
Thank you.
I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Well,
Expanded a bit.
Well, Rik, I wanted to say there's a couple on the call that have been with you way back, and Neil and whoever else has been, Rexall Sundowner and Jim and Marilyn Castle, and they actually lost weight on your fiber product. And so, like you said, I'm really excited about that. I think a lot of us are going to see, because we're going to make better choices, like you said, and what you described the fiber doing for us before the meal and all of that. So I'm excited about that. The other thing is, we've had testimonies, and lately, Rich and his wife, losing weight with the Zeolite. And, we used to talk about that. And I know we only have a few minutes left, but I think it's important. Isn't it correct? Am I correct in saying that fat cells actually try to help the body by sequestering the toxins within them?
Right, and my partner, Dr. Stuart Lonke, who's a internist and pulmonologist in Los Angeles, and I think you can look him up. He has a presence on LinkedIn and on Twitter and Instagram. We wrote the book Invisible Killers together, and he wrote another short book that he's expanding now called Toxic Obesity. And this comes out of the research we did back in 2008. What we did is you're absolutely right. If you have a body burden, you have too much toxins in your body, and our intake of toxins exceeds our ability to excrete or to filter out and transform those toxins. So the body tries to protect itself by sequestering those toxins, and it usually does it in inactive or inert cells, especially fat cells. So a lot of the toxins, especially the heavy metals and volatile organic compounds, wind up in fat cells. And what we found, and this was to me incredibly fascinating, is that the more toxins that were in a fat cell, the harder it was to break down the fat in that cell. And basically, like lipolysis, the breaking down of fat was harder and harder and harder in highly toxic cells. And one of the things that we're looking at is the surface of the cell to see if there's actually proteins that are expressed in the surface that warn the body away from that fat cell, that say, you know, this is a cell not to be touched because it's highly toxic. And so these are signaling compounds on the surface of the cell. And we believe that's a defense mechanism. The body is trying to protect that cell from breakdown, from lipolysis, because it doesn't want to release the toxins back into the system. So it defends that cell. And we found that people that were using my Zeolite product over longer periods of time, as they got rid of these toxins, it was easier and easier and easier for them to lose weight, to burn fat, that their exercise or diet was more effective. And we believe one of the reasons is that as you remove these toxins, the fat becomes more labile. It becomes easier and easier and easier to break down that fat from those fat cells, because they no longer have to protect the cell anymore. So it is fascinating. I got to see if Stuart expanded that book yet, but you can look it up. Dr. Stuart Lonke, Toxic Obesity, kind of dives into that whole topic.
Awesome. That is very, very incredible. Neil, did you have any more to add today besides your wonderful celebration there announcement?
No, I'm very happy right now.
Yeah, I bet you are ready to
Yeah,
get off so you can go call.
Yeah, what the heck? Neil stole my thunder.
Chip, are you good to go, Chipper? Good to go.
Well, just we have a large group here, and thank everybody for being here, for being interested in what we're doing. And I want you to be excited about the benefits of having these products and this group of people bringing things to you. So thank you, everybody.
So, and somebody asked again about when we'll have the fiber. Rik can tell you that I call him about every other hour asking him that. So trust me, it will be out as soon as possible, just so he doesn't have to get the phone calls.
I don't know if you can see my list of 37 action items for today. I did 4 of them. So I can't tell you how busy I am and how much help we need as we grow. But I'm going to be at work tomorrow at 4:30 in the morning because we're making a batch of Zeolite. So I'll be working from 4:30 to 6 tomorrow. But yes, I'm working tirelessly for the benefit of Avini Health. And there's nothing worse than me working like this. I call Neil and he goes, I'm on the tennis court. I'll call you right back.
Hey, that was one of the conditions.
Well, we want to thank you guys so very much. We really honor your time. And Rik, for you, I know you enjoy this. I know that's one reason we get to have you, is you enjoy seeing, talking face to face. And that is one of the things we love about you, and that you're so easy to talk to and you explain things so we can understand them. And for us, we still sometimes are in awe of that. And also Dr. Samuelson, the partnership that is formed there, and such an incredible team of scientists, creators that we have available to us. We are all really overwhelmed and feel very, very, very blessed. And so our prayers are with you, and we're going to do our part, aren't we, guys? We're going to be out there sharing this every day and making new friends and sharing with families and people that we care about and our new friends that need this so desperately, because everyone in the world needs to have a choice to choose Avini. And the only way that they even know about us is if we tell them. There's no billboards, there's no TV commercials, there's nothing out there to let people know how important Avini is except us. And you know what? That is the greatest way for us to share, is because we are having life-changing, life-saving miracles with these products, and we need to get them out. So if you're brand new on the line today and this is your first call, oh my goodness, you are so privileged. You've just met the creator of what brought us all together with our Cell Defender. Many of us have been following Rik for many years, and Neil. The partnership that they have had has made this happen. And then adding Doug Dickey, oh, incredible, talented, bringing his gifts to the table here as being one of the owners and facilitators of this. And Dr. Samuelson, we just really want to support you and thank you and honor you again today. And we thank you for being on the call, Rik. And we're going to let you go, even though I'm sure there's more comments and more questions. But I'm going to have Howard go ahead and stop the recording. We'll open up. We're not going to keep Rik on very long, though. We'll give you, 3 more minutes and then Rik gets to go. So go ahead, Howard. Thank you, everyone, for being on.